A report was made by the military count of the East that a synagogue had been burnt, and that this was done at the instigation of the bishop. You gave command that the others should be punished, and the synagogue be rebuilt by the bishop himself. Let us suppose that that bishop was too eager in the matter of burning the synagogue and too timid at the judgment seat. Are you not afraid, O Emperor, lest he comply with your sentence, lest he fail in his faith? Having thus stated the two sides of the matter, suppose that the said bishop says that he himself kindled the fire, collected the crowd, gathered the people together, in order not to lose an opportunity of martyrdom, and instead of the weak, to put forward a stronger athlete. O happy falsehood, whereby one gains for others acquittal, for himself grace. This it is, O Emperor, which I too have requested, that you would rather take vengeance on me, and if you consider this a crime, would attribute it to me. Why order judgment against one who is absent? You have the guilty man present, you hear his confession. I declare that I set fire to the synagogue, or at least that I ordered those who did it, that there might not be a place where Christ was denied. But let it be granted that no one will cite the bishop to the performance of this task. What if others more timid offer that the synagogue be restored at their cost, or that the count himself orders it to be rebuilt out of the funds of Christians? You, O Emperor, will have an apostate count, and to him will you entrust the victorious standards. Will you entrust the labarum, consecrated as it is by the name of Christ, to one who restores the synagogue which knows not Christ? Shall then a place be made for the unbelief of the Jews out of the spoils of the church? And shall the patrimony, which by the favour of Christ has been gained for Christians, be transferred to the treasuries of unbelievers? We read that of old temples were built for idols of the plunder taken from enemies. Shall the Jews write this inscription on the front of their synagogue: the temple of impiety, erected from the plunder of Christians? There is then no adequate cause for such a commotion, that the people should be so severely punished for the burning of a building, and much less since it is the burning of a synagogue, a home of unbelief, a house of impiety, a receptacle of folly, which God himself has condemned. And certainly, if I were pleading according to the law of nations, I could tell how many of the churches, basilicas the Jews burnt in the time of the Emperor Julian. 2 at Damascus, 1 scarcely repaired at the cost of the church, not of the synagogue, the other still in ruins. Basilicas were burnt at Gaza, Ascalon, Berytus, and in almost every place in those parts, and no one demanded punishment. At Alexandria, a basilica was burnt by heathen and Jews, which surpassed all the rest. The church was not avenged. Shall the synagogue be so? But what could the synagogue have possessed in a far distant town, when the whole of what there is there is not much? These are artifices of the Jews who wish to calumniate us, that because of their complaints an extraordinary military inquiry may be ordered and a soldier sent, who will perhaps say, "How will Christ be able to help us, who fight for the Jews against Christ, who are sent to avenge the Jews?" Further, into what calumnies will they not break out, who by false witness calumniated even Christ? Into what calumnies will not men break out who are liars, even in things belonging to God? Will you give this triumph over the church of God to the Jews, this trophy over Christ's people, this exaltation, O Emperor, to the unbelievers, this rejoicing to the synagogue, this sorrow to the church? The people of the Jews will set this solemnity among their feast days, and will doubtless number it among those on which they triumphed either over the Amorites or the Canaanites, or were delivered from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, or of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. They will add this solemnity in memory of their having triumphed over the people of Christ. And whereas they deny that they themselves are bound by the Roman laws and repute those laws as criminal, yet now they think that they ought to be avenged, as it were, by the Roman laws. Where were those laws when they themselves set fire to the roofs of the sacred basilicas? If Julian did not avenge the church because he was an apostate, will you, O Emperor, avenge the injury done to the synagogue because you are a Christian? Is it not on this account that Maximus was forsaken, who, before the days of the expedition, hearing that a synagogue had been burnt in Rome, had sent an edict to Rome, as if he were the upholder of public order? Wherefore the Christian people said, "No good is in store for him. That king has become a Jew. We have heard of him as a defender of order." And Christ, who died for sinners, soon tested him. A kiss is the sign of love. Whence then can a Jew have a kiss, seeing he has not known peace, nor received peace from Christ? The synagogue has not a kiss, but the church has, who waited for him, who loved him, who said, "Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth." Whence should the Jew have this kiss? For he who believed in his coming believed not in his passion. For how can he believe that he has suffered whom he believes not to have come? The Pharisee then had no kiss except perchance that of the traitor Judas. But neither had Judas the kiss. And so when he wished to show to the Jews that kiss which he had promised as the sign of betrayal, the Lord said to him, "Judas, do you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" The Jewish people has this kiss, and therefore it is said, "This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." So then, he who has not faith and charity has not the kiss, for by a kiss the strength of love is impressed. When love is not, faith is not, and affection is not. What sweetness can there be in kisses? But the church ceases not to kiss the feet of Christ, and therefore in the Song of Songs she desires not one, but many kisses. And like Holy Mary, she is intent upon all his sayings, and receives all his words when the Gospel or the prophets are read, and keeps all his sayings in her heart. So then, the church alone has kisses as a bride, for a kiss is, as it were, a pledge of espousals and the prerogative of wedlock. Whence should the Jew have kisses, who believes not in the bridegroom? Whence should the Jew have kisses, who knows not that the bridegroom has come? The synagogue has not this oil, inasmuch as she has not the olive, and understood not that dove which brought back the olive branch after the deluge. For that dove descended afterwards when Christ was baptized, and abode upon him. But how could he see the dove, who saw not him, upon whom the Spirit descended like a dove? So when accusing the Jews, he says, "O my people, what have I done to you? Or wherein have I troubled you? Or wherein have I wearied you? Answer me." When I came down from the pulpit, he said to me, "You spoke about me." I replied, "I dealt with matters intended for your benefit." Then he said, "I had indeed decided too harshly about the repairing of the synagogue by the bishop, but that has been rectified." I went on at once to say that he must end the whole investigation, lest the Count should use the opportunity of the investigation to do any injury to the Christians. He promised that it should be so. I said to him, "I act on your promise." He said, "Act on my promise." And so I went to the altar, whither I should not have gone unless he had given me a distinct promise.